Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be part of this CCNMTL event. I feel like I'm part of the CCNMTL family, and I have been since its beginning, but now I'm working much more closely with them. And if we haven't yet had a chance to thank the organizers of not just today's event, but for all the work that CCNMTL does, this is a good chance to do that. So let's applaud. So we're going to just talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing through this new office that we've set up at through the provost, John Coatsworth. And I spent 20 years at the journalism school, as you heard, and now I'm kind of thinking at a university-wide level about what we can do. And I see my friend Bill Gruskin in the back, Dean, who is our Dean of Academic Affairs at the Journalism School, and he and I have talked about how this moment in online education feels a little bit like 1997 in the media space, where some of the buzz and hype was, let's give it all away, let's build big audiences, and everything will work out great. And we know how that kind of worked out for journalism and media. He was at the Wall Street Journal, which was probably the only place with a paywall, or one of a handful of places with a paywall. But now there are more than 300 newspapers doing paywalls and experimenting. And so it's a time of great experimentation in media. And I'm seeing and excited about that kind of experimentation in the online space as well. And obviously there has been experimentation and lots of great things being done at Columbia and elsewhere for a long time. And the idea is, can we kind of coordinate? Can we learn from each other and share good ideas? But one of the things that I always talk about is that I'm a technology evangelist and a technology skeptic. And I think we need to be both when we're looking at all of this stuff. I also believe that we should all be early testers and late adopters of technology. We don't need to be first at every single thing, but we need to be trying different things in different ways. And I can tell you that I had my first experience with teaching a course online, fully online, for the first time last year through our continuing education department at the journalism school, and it was very exciting and very scary to do so. We had 100 students from a dozen countries, and I learned more about what works and what doesn't in that course than all the articles and everything else that I had read. I started my job in July, and since then there's been, and around that time, there was a lot of buzz and excitement about online education, but also in one particular category, and that's the MOOC space. And there's a panel in the afternoon about MOOCs where I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I haven't seen anything in my 20 years in academia that has gotten so much attention so quickly and caused people to be excited and panicked at the same time. If you think about what happened at the University of Virginia, it was just kind of an extreme case of how things can go wrong when people get overexcited and over-worried. And I see a lot of that. And then this Sunday happened. What happened this Sunday? New York Times article written by one Thomas Friedman. How many of you heard of this or saw this article or saw the headline? I may not have read it, but I think many people now see headlines instead of actually reading it. But this was a Tom Friedman special, right? Breathless, and the world is absolutely going to change, and it'll change tomorrow. The only thing missing from this piece is a quote from a cab driver in Istanbul who took a Python class online and is now, running a startup and changing his community. The quote that I pulled out here, and this is in the first or second paragraph: nothing has more potential to lift more people out of poverty by providing them an affordable education or to get a job or improve in the job they have. I mean, this is so exciting. And when you read this, what happens when you're in a job like mine is then this muddies the waters. And a lot of people starting Sunday afternoon started emailing me, some outside of the university, but many inside the university, saying, what are we doing about this? How can I do this? What else should we be doing? And as if that until this was written, we hadn't been thinking about this as a university, as a community, as faculty members. So I just wanted to kind of share this. And if you haven't read it, you should read it, because it also gives you a baseline for what is kind of seen around the world and what people read around the world. There has, of course, been a lot of other coverage and very interesting things happening, including this guy, who you know is actually doing things to change the world in dramatic ways. And this is Sal Khan, who you know from Khan Academy. And of course, when you have that number there, $1 trillion opportunity, you can imagine how people respond to that. What I'm going to share are some of the things that we're looking at, and then maybe we'll have some time for Q&A as well. Our principles for online learning at Columbia have been that we want to be thoughtful, strategic, sustainable, and we don't want to lock into current technology. We also want to keep with Columbia's brand and strengths. And our goal, I've just recently realized that this is articulated really well by Professor Hitendra Wadhwa at the B School, who said, I want to inspire, not just inform. And can we do that online is one of the questions. I should have said at the top that I have this presentation online. You'll be able to get it later, but that bit.ly link right on the screen, if you're tweeting or sharing, you can just share that bit.ly link and anybody in the world can access this at the moment. When I look at technologies that have changed education, this right here, Google Docs is right up there with anything else that Tom Friedman's ever written about. So this idea, can we inspire and not just inform, is one of the things that I'd like to keep in mind. And we're saying that our efforts in the space will be to supplement, enhance what we already do in the classroom, and are going to be built around university processes and practices. And they'll help us to learn about fast-changing areas where we can develop ways to improve learning and teaching on campus. There are 3 targets as we see it for online learning: on-campus students, non-resident tuition-paying students in blended or hybrid courses, as well as the students who are unconnected to Columbia in the MOOCs. I'm particularly excited about the first and second, though all the buzz is about the third. My office is in a suite of offices with the global centers where the team sits from the global centers, and I think we're going to be able to do a lot of exciting things together. There is, of course, a lot going on at Columbia, and I'll give you just a sense of some of the things. And obviously, the first off is CCNMTL. Maurice, Frank, and the team have done an amazing job getting digital activities on campus for a long time now. Many people don't know that you could get an engineering school degree starting in 1986. It was not the internet, but there were VHS tapes, I guess, and things like that. But you can get 14 MS degrees right now from C's through Columbia Video Network. The School of Continuing Education, Dean Marnie Baker-Stein's in the room, and she'll be speaking in the afternoon. They're doing amazing work leading us in digital and online education. And these are just some of the numbers that gives you a sense of 14 online courses that they're teaching right now, and there's more than that. The journalism school under Dean Gruskin, we have been experimenting with various things, including our dean, Nick Lemon, was the first to teach an online course. And that was very critical for us to do that. By having Nick Lemon step up and do that himself, it sent a signal to the faculty that this is not, yet another thing that the tech guys are going to do or the tech gals are going to do. This is Nick Lemon can learn. We also had the other person who led the class is one of our most popular professors, Kevin Coyne, C-O-Y-N-E, and he taught a class that was completely online, and that was very influential in getting the school to kind of wake up and pay attention. When one of my colleagues dual into or I do things online, nobody cares. But when Coyne and Lemon do things online, people pay attention. This semester, I believe Paula Spann is teaching a class online. The Language Resource Center is working with Columbia, with Yale and Cornell to partner on something called Less Commonly Taught Languages. And they're using online resources to share ways in which those languages can be actually studied at Columbia. At the medical campus, there's a lot of videos being recorded, and they're offering online courses for continuing medical education. And by the way, the medical experience is something that I'm learning a lot about. And as a patient, it's been very interesting to think about this. At Stanford, they've launched something called Lectures Without Lecture Halls. and you may have heard about this, that basically they're taking all their lectures and putting them on in partnership with Khan Academy on special closed versions of Khan Academy and doing lectures that way, because it turns out medical students don't like going to lectures. And so if you think about it, Stanford Medical School is putting the reputation of itself as well as the health of future patients in the hands of Sal Khan, who we saw earlier, at least in part, and that should be an interesting experience. The business school is offering this course on personal leadership, which Professor Wadhwa is teaching. SIPA is doing very interesting things. The Center for Environmental Research. And then the French department offers a French online class. And what's so interesting about that is it is the opposite of a MOOC. I think there are 11 students in it. But it has changed the life of those 11 students and the department. And it's been kind of fascinating to hear what they're doing there as well. We talked a lot about the flipped classroom, and I know that there are people in this room who know a lot more about a lot of these things than I do, but I also know there are people in the room who are just getting up to speed on some of these things. I heard someone explaining what a MOOC was to someone else at lunch, which is a great thing. That's why we gather in physical events as well. One thing that, and maybe this is the last time I'll talk about Khan Academy, but the idea that we've always thought is that it's the technical things that can be taught online. And here you're seeing a course about art history and a video about Bernini's David being used to communicate. There's also a popular course on poetry being taught on Coursera at University of Pennsylvania. You know these options for MOOCs. There's Coursera, edX, and Udacity. And we are not working with Udacity because basically they're trying to create their own university and not partner with universities, at least as far as we understand. edX has been much more about doing exclusive partnerships, whereas Coursera was more open about doing piloting courses. So our first endeavor is on Coursera, but we are now partnering with edX as well on some pilots, and we'll be looking for folks to participate in that. Some of the thoughts about MOOCs that are out there that I believe are true. They give us experience with new learning platforms. They're part of our mission to educate and spread knowledge. They're good for brand building for particular programs, and they can help us with generating prospects for degree programs. And then, of course, working with alumni is going to be important. I want to share with you this photograph that I took from a presentation this morning. The computer science department had a retreat up in Westchester and invited a few of us to speak. And I thought it was a very good idea. I think every department at Columbia should be having these conversations about the future of learning. I'm not looking to be invited to all of them, but I think it's going to be very important that they have these conversations. And the questions that came out were, as always, more interesting than the presentations, but very important that they did this. Anyway, so one of the people they brought in was someone who's actually taught a Coursera course. And this is David Wenslaff at Princeton Engineering. And he shared this slide, which I'm sharing with his permission. And he taught a class for 49,000 people. And here are some of the lessons learned. He said, edutainment doesn't work well for advanced senior level classes. And what he means is a lot of the stuff online is performance, and really highly advanced stuff might be difficult to do. He said the internet is a whiny place, which I think many of us knew already. But he learned that, you know, in a class of 50 students, you might have 3 whiners. And when you have a class of 50,000, it's the same percentage, but you can imagine, and they have more tools with which to be whiny. Running a massive open online course can take all of your time, not some of your time, but all of your time, and that's important. And I have some other lessons that I will share from in that second session when we get to it. So also, he also said it's a great place to test out your material. He was doing a very code-intensive class, and then he said, you know, having 49,000 sets of eyes debug your problem sets is a great way to find mistakes, which in fact some students did. I'll skip the examples of this, but I will just show you a course that I've been participating in called, this also happens to be from Princeton. This is about history of the world from the 1300s. Anyone here taking that class or seen it? And I think he does a really good job. There's somebody who's taught for 25 years, and he's now, he's teaching this online. And that's one of the things that we all have to think about is how do we change the way we teach, if at all, and how does this affect the way we teach? We always think about this from the student's view, are they learning? But we also have to think, are we teaching, or is this affecting our teaching? So I'll just mention the three courses that we're teaching through the engineering school. And one is financial engineering, one is on natural language processing, and one's on MOOCs transistors. I spelled it out because I had to look up what MOOCs transistors were, and I'm sure some people here will also. We crossed 11,000 signups in less than a week, and total is now more than 83,000. These numbers are just staggering. Of course, the percentage that finishes these things is very small, 5, 10, 15%. But just thinking about these numbers and how fast they're growing, we chose these professors based on by the deans on reputation and teaching awards, and we are exploring courses with several professors and departments across the university. Our goal is to kind of really highlight the best faculty. What we're working on, we've got these 3 C's courses, and then we've confirmed over the next few semesters an econ course that Professor Joe Stiglitz is going to teach, a virology course that is already a top 10 course on iTunes. Maurice and his team worked with this professor in microbiology, the biology department, right? And it's a top 10 course on iTunes. You can take it right now. But we're seeing, can we reimagine this as a MOOC? And we're trying to see what happens with that. And then a teacher's college course on big data and learning. And I'm very excited about taking this, a Civil War and Reconstruction course by Eric Foner, which he's promised to do next spring. So I know many of you will want to sign up for that. And then edX had originally said it only wants to do exclusive, and so we didn't partner with them, but now they're open to it, in part, I think, because they saw all these people signing up with Coursera and saying, hey, what's going on? So now we're looking for that, and we'll have opportunities to work with them. What's ahead? We're looking at what we can do for undergrad enhancement. A lot of the talk about this has been the grad school level, but what can we do for undergrad, including the core, and for alumni core courses. We think alumni training has a lot of opportunity. Online modules for introductory courses. Under Dean Gruskin at the J School, we introduced a whole bunch of basic courses over the summer before the students arrived, and in the first month they're here when they're the most pliable. And they took a bunch of these things in law. I taught a course on social media, and we found that that the level of understanding across the board increased because everyone is on the same page for the first time. When you have students from 40 countries, it's hard to get everybody on the same page. And then we're looking at ways in which we can enhance the opportunities for students who do study abroad and things like that. You may have heard of something called Semester Online, which is a consortium that's started by the folks at Tutor, the number 2 TOR, which has now changed its name to 2U. And we're looking at how that might be something we would consider. We're just in preliminary conversations about that. And basically the idea is you might be an undergrad student who wants to be at home to take care of parents, or you have to work, or you're studying abroad. Is there a way for you to take courses from this consortium and not fall behind? We're also setting up a faculty advisory committee for the provost, which will be chaired by David Madigan of the statistics department, and we'll have faculty members from across campus and the opportunities for input from various stakeholders, including students, administrators, alumni, and others. And we're working very closely with the Senate Online Task Force, which is chaired by Professor O'Halloran, and many of you are familiar with the work that they are doing. They're going to issue a report, this Senate Task Force, at the end of this semester, and then we're going to continue. We're also going to do some work together and look at more opportunities to kind of lay out a vision. Here are some of the things we're working on or planning to work on, and we'd love your input at any point into any of these things. How do we differentiate what we do as Columbia Online? What about intellectual property questions, which is a big part of this? Copyright and course ownership, faculty participation and compensation for online education. Just to give you a sense of the timing question, one of the professors who's doing our Coursera course now said that when he first started, he was doing 20 hours for every hour that he was able to put online. And he thinks at best it can get down to 3.5 per hour. So you can see how all that adds up very quickly. We're also looking at credentialing and credits. And I work very closely with Steve Rittenberg's office to think about how do we establish the crediting system. And then we also wonder about learning outcomes and how do we assess those? How do we monetize, if at all, any of these things? The good news is that in all our discussions so far, this idea is how do we make money has not been front and center, or even whatever cliche, back burner, any of these things. We're first looking at this and how we can help and work with our students and improve what we're doing. We're also looking at the role of partnerships in Columbia's online efforts, and then how do we harness kind of the learning sciences. Ellen Meyer, who is here, I see, please wave. Please talk to her if you haven't. She's from Teachers College. She studies online education, and there may be other people. Any other folks studying online education? Thank you. Anybody else? I see some hands. Please keep them up so that people can talk to you. I'm from India, so I love outsourcing. So please see these folks afterwards and talk to them about this. And of course, Marnie is also someone you should reach out to. And then course production protocols. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel. And at the provost office, all we can do is kind of coordinate, cajole, inspire. We can't do much more than that. So we'll need to learn and work with everybody to do that. Thanks very much, everybody.